City cut the lead to Arsenal at the top of the Prem, and Union make Bayern look mortal.
Italy and Spain number ones also dropped points, and Napoli almost dropping out of the Champions League competition spots was a rough weekend. So let's talk about it on this episode 101 of the No Business Soccer Podcast. Dalmatians News. Kick us off.
Let's dig in. What is up, everybody? I'm your host, Snooze, and welcome to the No Business Soccer Podcast. We got almost a full cast of characters here today, but of course, Danny P's having some. You think it's unlimited breadsticks and soup or whatever?
He better not be eating unlimited pasta without me. I swear.
He's having a family dinner, so he's taking the night off. But we do have Brainiac J-Fam on the ones and twos today. But everybody's favorite hype man, Vic, what you sipping on, dog? And it took him a long time to make this, so I'm interested to see what it is myself.
What I have, and you'll know it got cold in Austin, so that's good enough reason for me to make a hot drink. And what I made is a hot buttered rum. So it's rum, it's some brown sugar, it's some butter, of course. There's some allspice in there, some ground cloves, all kinds of things, and a cinnamon stick, but it was too short, so you can't even really see it. So, and also I'm using a cup from our late great friend Will that went to clean up his place, using his cup. So to Will.
And, that's cool.
To episode 101. So while we do it. It's not going to do it.
Is that glass or is it plastic or glass?
Yeah, it's glass.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, go ahead and like and subscribe the video and to our channel. It's the best way to tell YouTube, say, hey, these guys might be pretty cool from time to time, and get the word out there for the No Biz fam. Cheers, everyone.
Dang, I wish I had a Will mug. That'd been pretty cool.
Oh man, that was good.
How's it taste?
It tastes like pie crust. Holy crap, that is so good. Hey,
some pies, that's the best part. Mostly pecan pies, that's the best part of it.
Yeah, pecan pie crust with like a little bit of pecan pie still on it. Oh man, that's so
it's coming up. Oh man, we're gonna have to talk about that. But before we move on, favorite pie. What's your favorite pie of the season?
I always eat like a lot of pumpkin pie. I think it's pumpkin pie with like a way too much whipped cream. That's probably what it is.
See, I'm the opposite. I mean, I love. Go ahead.
I was gonna say sometimes apple pie with some ice cream on it, but if I'm in the mood, that's better. But usually it's always pumpkin pie. It's like over home plate, perfect.
Yeah, that's true. In the season, for me, it's definitely pumpkin pie. Very little to no whipped cream for me, though. Not a big whipped cream guy, but I do like. I enjoy apple pie the rest of the year. But whenever it's the season, I won't eat anything other than pumpkin pie. Sometimes pecan pie, but some people make it too like gelatin. You know what I mean? Like it's too weird sometimes. I'm not the biggest fan. My dad loves them though, so always have pecan pie on tap. But before we jump into it, let's just say we're going to be covering the European reach around, or the wrap up as we call it. That means Serie A, Bundesliga, Premier League, and La Liga all had full slates that we're going to discuss. And of course, this coming week and a half, well, I guess they call it 2 weeks, but it's not really, right? It's like a full week, I guess. But anyway, it's an international break. So, a little bit of a break from your teams, and we're all sad. We know you are too, but we have a lot to get into before the break starts. So I think it is time, Vic. Let's go ahead, jump into Italy.
Let's do it. To Serie A.
I was watching back some of our previews, by the way. This is random, but I tend to squint a lot because I have a massive light that's in front of my face. But I realized, like, I'm watching myself. I'm like, dang, man, open your eyes, bro. It's like, but if I do this, it's so bright. I don't know how people that are like, this is what they do for a living, how they do it, man. I got to get some tips from someone.
Diffusers, man. Diffusers. They work, but
diffusers. What is that?
Yeah, like diffusers. It's like a
you haven't seen the big lights?
No. No, it's like have you seen the bulbs that are like wrapped up and it's just like a white front?
Oh, the dot lights. Dot lights.
Yeah, you need a couple
okay. Hey, might need me one of those. Anyway, we don't have any big notes for Serie A before we jump into the match day, other than Fiorentina did hire Paolo Vanoli as their new manager on Friday as they look to move on from Pioli. Vanoli was most recently with Torino before being dismissed at the end of last season. He did play for Fiorentina for a few seasons back in 2000 through 2002, so he is familiar with our Viola. And, well, he had a first match, Vic, so I think it's time to jump in.
Let's do it. Let's talk about Serie A match day 11, and we'll start with your No Business Soccer podcast top matches and headlines. And it starts with number 1, Napoli getting toppled by Bologna.
Down go the champs. Napoli put on a very poor performance on the road, and it cost them the top spot in the table. Bologna outshot them 11-4 and had 4 shots on goal to only 1 for Napoli. They've just been really bad going forward ever since Kevin De Bruyne went down a few weeks back. But we can't just heap on criticism of Napoli without giving Bologna their flowers. They were excellent in this match from start to finish and didn't just sit back and let Conte's men dictate the game and the pace of play to them. We mentioned in the preview, though, that if Bologna won, the chaos would be amped up in the Serie A table, and now only 3 points separate Juve in 6th. I thought I said Juve, but I didn't. I said it correctly. Okay. Juve in 6th from Milan in 1st.
Yeah, absolutely.
Crazy stuff.
Crazy times. And that's your only top matchup or what we want to bring up from the No Biz.
They'll find out, though. They'll find out why.
Yeah.
Because it was not a pretty weekend in Serie A at all, especially Saturday. Oy,
and Napoli's not alone, actually, Snooze. This is a fun fact. We cover 4 leagues, right? So it's 39 games throughout 39 or 38. Well, no, 39, 38. Only 3 away teams won. There were some draws, but only 3 away teams won this throughout all 4 leagues.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah, so Napoli, it just wasn't in the cards this week. Sorry. But let's go ahead and talk about the rest of Match Day 11, because Match Day 11 started on Friday with a newly promoted battle, and Pisa come out the victors over Cremonese 1-0.
In an unlikely turn of events, Pisa got their first win of the season against Jamie Vardy's Cremonese. Every time I turned around, Cremonese was in the Pisa box and attacking, but the goal comes late in the second half and against the run of play, as they say. Tough luck for Cremonese, though, who were all over Pisa, just couldn't get that goal.
And then we move on to Saturday. If you hate draws, look away now, as all 4 Saturday games were draws. And Saturday started with 3 games of just straight up cardio. 3 0-0 draws in a row. And the first up was Como and Cagliari.
This is why you don't see a lot more matches in the top matches and headlines to cover, because there wasn't a ton to go over in Serie A. Como still unbeaten in the last 5, but drawing 0-0 at home to Cagliari for a team that is poised to do much better is just not going to cut it. They thoroughly dominated Cagliari, but they're going to have to figure out a way to unlock these more defensive sides, especially since Como is no longer the underdog. They're going, teams are coming to them, and they're going to teams, and they expect to be the more defined team, the more dangerous team. And so, of course, in a league like Serie A, they're going to be teams that have they're sitting back on them. They're just waiting for them to hit them on the counter. And if you're Como, you got to figure that out, because you're no longer the underdog.
Yep. And our second 0-0 was Lecce and Verona.
Another goalless draw to start our Serie A Saturday, and it was a better result for the Milkmen, who have 4 points from their last 2 matches and stay outside of the drop zone heading into the break. Verona, bad times for Verona.
And our last nil squared game was Juve and Torino.
The Turin derby was a masterclass in shot blocking, but not much else, as they split the points. I feel like I'd say this in every 0-0, but with a little more luck, we could have seen plenty of goals, mainly looking at Shea Adams and Simeone's missed chances. The result leaves a bit of a sour taste in the mouth of Juve fans, but the break comes at a perfect time for new boss Spalletti. He gets a chance to, well, for the players that aren't traveling, he gets a chance to kind of sit down and get his plans into action.
And we had a tiny palate cleanser that came in our last match of Saturday, but still no 3 points to either side, as Parma and Milan draw 2-2.
It was a disappointing result for Milan, who were up 2-0 on the road, and this was within the first 25 minutes. But just when things were starting to get bleak for Parma, Adrian Barnabé hits a ridiculous curling shot that bends around the keeper and gives Parma a goal back before the break. The second half felt like it was all Parma with the real chances, and they took advantage and leveled it. But Pulisic and Salamakers both had clear-cut one-on-ones with the Parma keeper Suzuki and were unable to convert. And Milan dropped points before the break, but it wasn't terrible, and we'll talk about why in a sec.
And Sunday was more telling as we started as the newly promoted Sassuolo stomped Atalanta 3-0.
Oh, and you know what? I should have updated the notes because there was breaking news as of this morning, and I forgot to add it. Atalanta did fire their coach, their manager, excuse me. Forgot which country we're talking about here, which sport. But yeah, the manager for Atalanta, and I'm blanking on the name right now, is gone after this loss, and let's talk about it. Atalanta look broken right now. Sassuolo were able to hit them on the counter easily, time after time, and it just happened to be a day where they were firing and on point. 3 goals and 3 points for Sassuolo keeps them above mid-table and flying for a newly promoted team. Atalanta coming back from the break without a successor yet. I mean, they just sack the manager, so we'll have to see. We'll keep you in the loop though as we get into the next match day in a week and a half's time.
And our next match we talked about already, that was Bologna toppling Napoli. So we'll move on to a relegation battle that helped neither team as Fiorentina and Genoa draw 2-2.
Yeah, well, that turned out to be an entertaining game of football and was absolutely not what Fiorentina wanted. We wanted it to be pretty boring and a 1-0 win, hopefully, but that didn't happen. Both sides played their first match under their new managers, and even though they split the points, both clubs just looked and felt like they were playing with more energy and purpose. I'm excited to see how both sides progress moving forward because that match kind of showed me that these teams do have life. They just needed to get out from underneath the old managers.
All right, no more draws, I swear. As Sunday continued with Roma getting the home win against Udinese 2-0.
Roma don't stay down for long as they get a win and a clean sheet at home over a decent Udinese side. I think the top 6 is going to be so competitive in Serie A throughout the season. They're all just beating up on each other right now, and it means that Roma are in second on goal differential just behind Inter, but 3 points separates first to fifth. And yeah, what a crazy time in the Serie A table.
And match day 11 ended with Inter handling business against Lazio 2-0.
It's another win for Inter as they continue to stack up those wins and they stay at the summit of the Serie A table in the process. We mentioned in the preview that Lazio had been doing better, but this might have been a bridge too far, and it seemed that way. Inter were the better side, and goals from Boni and Lautaro are just what they needed to get it done.
And those are your matches from Serie A match day 11. Fun weekend, and man, just one of all 4 of our leagues where the number one dropped some points. And yeah, if we want to go ahead and take a look at the table, we could take a look at the log jam that is the top, as you have Inter Milan as your new number 1 with 24 points, and then followed the Roma is following them in the number 2 spot with 24 points as well, just back on goal differential, which is half of what Inter Milan is, which is crazy. Then number 3 is AC Milan. They have 22 points, tied with Napoli, who were your reigning defending champions, with 22 points as well. And then you have Bologna tickling our top 4 in the number 5 spot with 21 points. So 3 points between number 1 and number 5. 5 points between number 1 and number 6. Crazy times. And yeah, it's getting juicy, and now we gotta wait a week and a half for them to continue this fight.
And I think the next international break after this one isn't until I want to say it's before May. It's in the spring, I believe. But either way, that means that there's going to be a lot of matches, and you know that the leagues in Europe do take a siesta. They take a little bit of a break come the holiday season. I believe it's from like the week of Christmas through the New Year or something like that. Like it's almost 2 weeks. So there's going to be a few matches, and they usually sneak in some midweek madness, as we like to call it. So there could be a lot of changing going on, especially with matches coming thick and fast. Is that how they say it? Quick and fast?
Yeah, probably quick. I don't know about
he said,
I don't know.
Wait.
I don't think that's a saying. Yeah.
Quick and fast. All right, let's move on. Let's talk about this. Nothing else we need to cover?
No, we're good.
All right, let's do it. Let's go to Germany.
All right, to Bundesliga.
It's like a thick fixture list, you know? It's like super thick. I don't know. Okay.
No, nobody
Just
says
making it worse. All right. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I scour the news to find anything I can bring you guys. If there's any big deals or sackings or anything like that, there should be some sackings going on inside of the Bundesliga. But if they happened, I haven't seen them yet. And there's a couple teams that we'll talk about that the coaches might be on their last straw. But the only piece of news that I really saw from the Bundesliga was something that we'll talk about here in a moment. But just know that Luis Diaz had an incredible goal, and the angle there's a whole article about it, which is insane. The angle, he's pretty much parallel to the goal as he's running, and he's able to hit it at such an angle that it goes in. It was incredible, so cool. And of course, Luis Diaz, my favorite ex-Liverpool player. Now I can like him because he's not there anymore. So other than that, Vic, I think we're ready. Let's jump in.
All right, well, let's jump into Bundesliga match day 10, and we'll start with your No Business Soccer podcast top matches from Bundesliga match day 10. And we start with Union Berlin being the first team to take points away from the Goliath, that is Bayern, as they draw 2-2.
It's the first match that Bayern didn't win in any competition. And yes, that's right. I didn't say lose. They just didn't win in any competition thus far. And it comes at the hands of Union Berlin. The fact that Kane had to level it in the 90th minute to salvage a draw tells you about how this match went for Bayern. Union's goals came thanks to the luckiest brace you'll ever see from Doki, but it was enough and job well done to Union. Of course, the talk of the town of this match is that super sleek goal from Luis Diaz. As I mentioned, the dude is so good, and if he just wouldn't have scuffed his shot when Kane put him through one-on-one with the keeper, Bayern would be looking at yet another win, but it wasn't meant to be. Good job, Union.
And our second matchup is Hoffenheim, proving they belong with a 3-1 win at home against Leipzig.
We said in the preview that this would be Hoffenheim's biggest test yet in their recent winning streak. And honestly, I was just asking them to get a draw to prove to us that they could really hang and to kind of prove that this was the real thing that we were looking at for Hoffenheim. Well, they not only got 3 points and beat Leipzig straight up, they dominated this game. After seeing Diomande score for Leipzig in the first 8 minutes of the match, I just assumed that the match was over, but there's something about this Hoffenheim side that just feels different at the moment. They head into the break in the top 6 and on a 4-game winning streak and the hottest team in the Bundesliga now that Bayern drew.
Yeah, they're looking good right now. Those are your top matches for La Liga. For Bundesliga, just pissed off a lot of people. Match day 10. I will say that Luis Diaz goals was amazing. I really wish he would have stayed. That would have been great. We could really use him right now.
Yeah, if y'all could you could deal with a guy who's just amazing and creative and scores goals left and right?
Yeah,
you can probably deal with that.
Yeah. All right, but those are your top matches from match day 10. Let's go ahead and continue into the rest of the match day, because match day 10 started with Werder Bremen proving that they are the superior green shield as they beat Wolfsburg 2-1.
Another match, another brutal result for Wolfsburg, who certainly felt like they deserved at least a point from this match. But Bremen gave the home crowd what they wanted, taking all 3 points with a stoppage time goal to break the hearts of Wolves.
And then we moved on to Saturday. Saturday opened up with the Hoffenheim and Leipzig match that we just talked about. So we'll go ahead and go on to the Bundesliga belt to ass match. All right, I wrote that down. I was like, what am I saying? Belt to ass match, as things get worse for Heidenheim as they lose 6-0 to Leverkusen.
5 goals in the first half pretty much sums up the day for Leverkusen. It seemed like every time they were in the double H box that they were going to score. Some of the goals were just insane, and that will help out with that good old goal differential, a 6-0 ass whooping.
And Saturday continued with Hamburg fighting their way to a 1-1 draw against Dortmund, meaning the top 3 teams in Bundesliga dropped points this week.
Hamburg came to play today, and they didn't back down from the big, bad Dortmund. Even when they went down a goal, they kept going after it, and the leveler comes thanks to the man with the most German name in all of German names, our boy here at the No Business Soccer podcast, Ransford Königsdorfer. He gets his first Bundesliga goal. Well done to Ransford Königsdorfer. Well done, Hamburg.
Nice. You've been practicing.
Yeah.
Our next match was the 2-2 draw between Bayern and Union Berlin. We talked about that, so we will continue to Saturday, ending with our cute mascot getting handled as Cologne lose to Mönchengladbach 3-1.
I'm sure there's a sexual innuendo in that sentence somewhere, but uh, anyway, the Rhine Derby goes to Gladbach in dominant fashion as they screw the current table and form, and they little brothered Köln all day. It's 3 goals and 3 points for Gladbach as they climb all the way up to 12th after being down bad for so long in this season. They go into the break off back-to-back wins, and they are starting to come alive. Also, Polanski might just make this permanent managerial role, or his role permanent, if he keeps this up. It's 7 goals scored and only 1 conceded, with 2 straight wins in the last 2 matches for the interim manager Polanski. What a good run for him, and hopefully they can get some people healthy. Hopefully Kleindienst is back. Kleindienst, if you want to say it that way. And if he's back and they're firing on all cylinders, this might be a team that just gets out of their funk early, and we will hardly remember that they were at the bottom of the table for so long.
Yes, sir. And then Sunday, we moved on to Sunday, and Sunday started with Freiburg, making sure the misery continues for St. Pauli as Freiburg get the 2-1 win.
Freiburg make it 7 straight losses for St. Pauli, and surely their manager, Alex Blessen, doesn't have much time left if things don't change. Time might already be up by the time you see this. I wrote that thinking that maybe it would happen. It has not yet, at least not that I've seen. But either way, the Black Forest boys really needed 3 points here, and they got it.
And our next matchup had Stuttgart pulling out the 3-2 win against Augsburg.
We had a crazy back and forth between these two, but Dennis Undav's brace along with Mittelstadt's penalty were enough to see this one out for Stuttgart, and they were able to bounce back from that Leipzig loss very fast, and Augsburg are still reeling.
And then our last matchup for match day 10 ended with a 1-0 Eintracht Frankfurt win against Mainz.
Eintracht Frankfurt pile on Mainz's misery with an absolutely sexy solo goal from Doan. Not a ton in this one other than that goal, but the result leaves Frankfurt right outside the top 6 heading into the break as they continue to improve after their slump for the past month and a half. Something like that.
About, yeah. And those are your matches for Bundesliga match day 10. It was a fun one, but it's still just out of hand. If we look at the table, a lot of fun things are happening below that, but I mean, still Bayern Munich have a clear 6-point lead. They have 28 points altogether, again, dropping 2 points this past weekend. RB Leipzig are number 2, a clear 6 points behind them with 22 points. And then Borussia Dortmund and Stuttgart both have 21 points apiece in the number 3 and 4 spots, respectively. And then the never-losing Bayer Leverkusen have 20 points, tickling our top 4 in the number 5 spot, taking up that Europa League spot. And just to throw out, Hoffenheim fighting relegation last year, now in the number 6 spot, tickling that Europa League spot. So good on them. They are definitely working on it. Yeah. That's the good double H that we have. The bad double H, if we scroll down all the way to the bottom, is number 18 Heidenheim with 5 measly points. And all those 5 came within the last 6 matches. So they were doing pretty bad before that as well. But Mainz also is in the relegation zone in the number 17 spot with 5 points as well. And then St. Pauli is over there in the playoff zone with 7 points. And yeah, not going good for St. Pauli, but still not completely in the relegation zone.
Right. That's crazy. That's how well they started the season, or I guess how well they started and how horrible the other teams were. Nah, well, whatever.
Yeah.
Either way, crazy stuff. The only other thing I was going to mention is that Heidenheim, with that 6-0 loss, it's almost, I mean, they're not good. So they're going to be in the relegation scrap. But they've almost like sealed their coffin with giving up 6 goals and going a -6 into their goal differential, because you know how it comes down to it, right? Like, hey, we have the same points from, you know, the 18th spot to the 15th spot, but this team has a worse goal differential. When you lose 6-0, that's pretty much that's sealing the coffin right there. That is not a good look for Heidenheim. I just don't think they're good enough to come back from that.
Yeah, they're at -15 now, which is insane, because the other team that has 5 points, Mainz, is at -8, so almost double that.
Not a good look. Seems to have 11 and 10, or -10 and -11, but you know, they're not in the bottom yet. They will be soon if they don't pick things up. The international break couldn't come faster for St. Pauli and Augsburg, who they dropped a lot of points in this past between breaks, I guess we'll call it.
Yeah.
Okay, Vic. Anything else?
All I got.
Let's move on then. Let's go to Spain.
Let's do it. To La Liga.
Not a lot of news and notes for La Liga as well. We did have a great match day there. A lot of good results. And I guess I didn't realize that there wasn't a lot of away teams winning, but I believe there's one in this league. Two
of them, yeah.
Two of them.
It was
Okay.
Bundesliga had none, and Premier League
Okay.
had none either. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Yeah, 2 in La Liga. Most away wins.
Well, let's jump into it. Let's do it.
Let's do it. We don't have any news. We're good.
Yeah, we're good.
All right. We'll go into the La Liga Match Day 12, and we'll start with your No Business Soccer podcast. Top matches from La Liga Match Day 12. And our top match to watch this past weekend was unfortunately the 0-0 draw, the only 0-0 draw of the weekend, as Rayo Vallecano and Real Madrid earn a point apiece.
And this one is more for the headline than the actual result. But at the end of the match, the announcer said for the fourth year in a row, Real Madrid have failed to win at Vallecas. And that pretty much sums up this Madrid derby. Rayo were stout defensively, and they did exactly what they set out to do, which was frustrate Real Madrid and get out of there with a point. But now for Real Madrid, if you stack this result on top of the loss to Liverpool in the Champions League, it's a sour taste in the mouth of the Madridistas. Tough word to say, heading into the break. Yes, and Vic, after seeing them lose to Liverpool, I assumed that they would just take out their anger on whatever lowly team they were playing in La Liga. But that's just not how their arch. Well, I mean, it's a rival one way, because when you're Real Madrid and you're like world beaters, and then Rayo Vallecano is like a yo-yo club, like it's. Yeah, we're in Madrid, and we y'all don't like us, but it's not. We don't really care too much about y'all. You know what I mean? Like,
little brother syndrome kind of. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah. It's not a competition. Just chill.
Yeah, they're like, oh, hey, this is a derby, and it's like, no, it's not.
It also takes some. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying they haven't won there 4 years in a row, so it tells you something.
Yeah, but it kind of takes away from the win I guess Liverpool had, because like I said in the short, I don't know if anybody's watched the short, but it's not something to cause alarm of, but they're on alert. They're on a little bit of alert. Real Madrid, a little bit, the past two losses coming from Elche, and I mean, sorry, not a loss, but Rayo Vallecano getting a 0-0 draw, but losing to a very much not informed Liverpool team. So I don't know. We'll see. Maybe the international break is going to get them turned onto the right track.
I was just going to say that's good timing for them to be in a little bit of a slump right before a break. But yeah, they have a chance to get over that. And that's it. There's a lot of other matches that were decent, but nothing that broke to where I was like, oh yeah, that's something that people wouldn't know or need to be aware of. Real Madrid losing the battle for the top spot in La Liga. That's a big deal. The rest of these pretty straightforward, Vic. So let's get into it.
Let's do it, because match day 12 started on Friday as Elche and Real Sociedad had to get a point apiece in their 1-1 draw.
And I got to watch this one on Friday, and it looked so promising for Elche as they led 1-0 heading into the 90th minute. But Real Sociedad were awarded a penalty for a foul in the box. Ayorzabal steps up and buries it to split the points. You could see the disappointment on the Elche fans' faces as they drop points yet again. And it's now 5 games without a win for our mighty Elche. What is going on?
And then we moved on to Saturday. As Saturday started with Girona getting a much-needed 3 points as they get the 1-0 win against Alaves.
Girona say they will not go down without a fight as they get a narrow victory over Alaves and get themselves out of the bottom spot in the table. They've looked much better in the recent outings, but they still have plenty of work to do if they're going to stay up this season.
And then Saturday continued with Sevilla getting back on track with their 1-0 win against Osasuna.
Sevilla stopped the bleeding with the win over Osasuna, and for all the turmoil they were in the last year and how horribly they started this season, Sevilla are entering the international break just 2 points out of the top 6, and they sit 8th. Crazy, crazy stuff, Vic.
And our last match of Saturday had Atletico Madrid sending the newly promoted back to the relegation zone with a 3-1 win against Levante.
Don't look now, but Atleti are getting hot. That's their 4th straight win in La Liga, and they're looking like the team we all expected to see in the summer. Levante are now in the bottom 3 and have lost 3 of their last 5.
And then Sunday started with Villarreal getting the big 2-0 win on the road against Espanyol.
Everything Villarreal had to hear and go through after losing to Pafos midweek must have put a lot of pressure on them getting a result in this match, but they go on the road and give Espanyol their second straight defeat. The Yellow Submarine are now on a 3-game win streak, but it's okay, Espanyol. La Liga was so drunk this weekend, and we'll see in here a second, but they lost, and they still stay in the top 6.
Yeah, and our next match had Oviedo being the sacrifice needed to get Athletic Club back on track as Oviedo fall 1-0.
Athletic Club and Nico Williams' ridiculous goals send Oviedo to the bottom of the table. This is how crazy the La Liga table is. Athletic Club just got their first win in the past 4 games, and they lost back-to-back games right before this. And yet this win puts them all the way back up in 7th place. That's just a point outside of the European places. Man, yeah, the table we have a lot to talk about, but this is crazy how much parity there is in La Liga.
Yeah. Our next matchup was the Rayo Vallecano and Real Madrid 0-0 draw. So Sunday continue with Mallorca getting a 1-0 win against Getafe at home.
Mallorca got a goal in the 14th minute of this one and were able to see out the rest of the match. The win for Mallorca helps as they continue to move further away from the drop zone, and every point counts. But Getafe have now dropped 3 of their last 5, and they're not looking like the team who I was really excited for just like 2 weeks ago, maybe a month ago. Sucks.
And next we had Valencia and Real Betis getting a goal apiece, a point apiece as they draw 1-1.
I'm sure that Valencia and the rest of the Mestalla were disappointed to only come away with the point here, but the point is good enough to take them out of the bottom 3 at the break, which I'm sure they'll be more than happy to take. And Betis are a tough team to get anything from no matter where they are. They've only won 2 of their last 5 matches, though, but they're still a top 5 team in La Liga.
And match day 12 ended with a fun one, but Barcelona is still too much to overcome as they beat Celta Vigo 4-2.
Barca are able to get 2 points back on Real Madrid with this win. And just looking at the scoreline will tell you why I didn't add this one to the top matches of the weekend. I felt like Barca would be too strong, and ultimately it did in that way. But the first half of this one was crazy with 5 combined goals, including a Lewandowski brace, a Borja Iglesias banger, and a top-class goal from Yamal. But after the half, it was much calmer as Lewandowski gets his hat trick in the 73rd minute, but not much else after that. The headlines coming from this match, though, is just that Flick's defensive back line just can't sustain this way. They are giving up way too many goals, and they're just too leaky in the back to be a team that's seriously going to challenge for, against Real Madrid, but then also for a European title.
And those are your matches for La Liga match day 12. That was a fun one to watch. I did get to watch that Barcelona game with Lewandowski getting his hat trick. That was pretty nice. One was a pin, but, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. A goal's a goal, right? They're not going to count it any less.
Well, people used to make fun of Harry Kane because he scored so many penalties, but that's part of the game,
Yeah.
So it counts.
Too. Yeah. But yeah, fun weekend in La Liga. And then we could talk about the parity if we want to bring up the table for La Liga. Because your number ones are still Real Madrid. They have 31 points despite dropping points this past weekend in the number 1 spot, followed by Barcelona with 28 points in the number 2 spot. Villarreal have the number 3 spot with 26 points, 2 points behind them. And then Atletico Madrid round out our top 4 with 25 points. And then tickling our top 4 is the GOAT and Real Betis with 20 points, a clear 5 points behind number 4. So yeah, there you can start to see where that gap starts to open up around those opening to the European spots. And you're going to have some teams needing to get some big wins in that window. But from number 5 to freaking all the way to 12 is a 5-point difference.
It's crazy, right?
Yeah, things are going to be fun there. Trying to get that last spot, that Europa League spot. And going to have some interesting games coming up. Not as interesting, though, if you want to take a look at the bottom of the table. Girona have 10 points in the number 18 spot. They would be the first team to get relegated if the season ended today. Even with the win, still at number 18. And then you have Levante. As we said earlier, they got pushed back into the relegation zone with their loss. They have 9 points in the number 19 spot. And then Oviedo, the other team that was promoted, two of the teams are now back in the relegation zone. They have 8 points holding up the rest of the La Liga table. We're going to see if we could get them out of there, because we were living good there for a while with the newly promoted teams not being there. And
I said it, what was it, like 2 shows ago, right? I was like, there's not a single team where there was one team. Yeah. I think Oviedo was in the bottom in all of the leagues, and now Levante are there too. So I wasn't going to call out though, Girona, as good as they've been with getting a win and a draw in the past 3 matches or whatever. We're 12 matches into the La Liga season, and they have 2 wins on the season, and they came in the past 5 matches. So it just tells you how bad they have truly been. And it doesn't matter because they're almost out. I mean, if they won and there's a couple other results, they could be in freaking 13th next week. Next match day. So a lot of crazy parity going on in Spain at the moment. Crazy stuff.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun to see how it plays out. Halfway or quarter of the way there.
Quarter of the way. Crazy stuff, man. And it always feels like it's a quarter, but this quarter lasts so much longer because there's 3 international breaks and whatever. But then now we get to this next quarter where it's the holiday season, where they try to cram in a bunch of match days. I know we talked about it a second ago, but this one feels like it sneaks up on you a lot quicker. So the second quarter going in will tell us a lot at the half, I guess we can say.
Good time.
Okay. Anything else before we jump into the Prem? There's a lot to talk about in the Prem.
All good here.
Okay, well, let's do it. Let's go to England.
Let's do it to the Prem.
I realized I said Prem twice. I took your thunder. I stole your thunder right there.
I thought J-Fan was gonna start playing the music. I was like, oh crap, I don't know if we're gonna do this.
Yeah, he's taking it from us. No, I wasn't. It was just this brain fart, as they say. Okay, let's see here. Any news? Yes, the Wolves manager was hired. As we talked about last time, Wolves were without a manager. They were looking to sign one after they sacked Vitor Pereira, and they get Rob Edwards, who agrees to become the Wolves coach after leaving Middlesbrough. I can't tell you how good he's been there. I didn't get a lot of chance to read into it. And as you know, we cover these leagues, and that's a lot. So I don't get a lot of chance to watch the anything. I mean, I watch some of the Wrexham stuff going on because we got to. I like me some American. I don't know. I would say American heartthrob, but that's not what I'm thinking. Like an American story.
Kind of right.
Yeah. Well, but anyway, so I don't know how they've been, but Wolves seemed fit to sign him. So cool. Congrats. We'll see how he does in the league. Now he has a big project picking up a team who is, I believe, still bottom of the table, Vic. So let's jump in.
Let's do it. Let's go into Premier League match day 11, and we'll start with your No Business Soccer podcast, top matches and headlines. And we start with proof that nothing matters at all, and football sucks as Manchester City dominate a soulless Liverpool side.
Yeah. Sorry, I had to. There we go. Almost sneezed. Okay. There's a lot to talk about in this one, so just bear with me here, because this was supposed to be an exclamation point on the 3-match gauntlet that Liverpool had before the break with Villa, Real Madrid, and Manchester City. They just needed this last win to be fully back, but City had other plans. This match was also very important to both sides because they knew the outcome of Arsenal's match from the day prior, and they had a chance to start digging into that lead that they have at the top of the table, they being Arsenal. But Liverpool just looked outmatched in this game. City were bullying them from start to finish, and they just couldn't cope defensively with the pace and the power of Haaland and Doku. But that's not to say that Liverpool didn't have their chances. Van Dijk, Szoboszlai, Gakpo all had chances, but they just didn't go in. But nothing comes close to the chances that our Egyptian king Mo Salah had, and he is just not the same guy that was tearing through the I almost said Bundesliga, through the Prem last season. And but not to add salt to the wound after this loss, though. Liverpool now have lost more games this season than their crosstown rivals Everton, and I know Danny P would love to hear that. This win for City now puts them only 4 points behind Arsenal with a quarter of the season gone, and they are now hitting their stride, and it's actually a battle for this title. I guess we'll call it a 2-horse race at this point in the season. Vic,
yeah, it was a rough watch. It was a rough watch. And then you see the highlights for a Sunderland game, and you see, dude, Sunderland are playing with like heart, right?
Okay.
I don't see any heart for Liverpool at all. Like that last goal for Sunderland, that guy put his body on the line, threw a leg out there just trying to get a piece of it. I can't imagine anybody in red doing that for our team. They were just like, oh, it bounced, it went away. And that's the way it's been all season. And it's a sucky time right now. Not to say we played completely terrible. Man City's first 2
No.
goals are off deflections. We missed some open opportunities, and there was a pin that was called that not should have been a pin, even though the ball doesn't lie. He didn't get a goal anyway. But a lot of people are asking about that penalty that was called. Should it have been a penalty or not? Who cares? We didn't play well enough to win. Like, it doesn't matter. It was going to be 3-1.
Right.
If I mean,
take it away. 2-1.
Yeah, 2-0. Yeah. Who cares? We didn't play well enough. We haven't played well enough all season. And yeah, that's why everything sucks and football sucks and nothing matters.
Well, let's talk about a team that does have a lot of hope. How about that?
Let's do it. Number 2, the talk of the weekend, as Sunderland, like I just said, powered by Tamales and Atole, get a 2-2 draw against the number 1's Arsenal.
Totally sounds awesome on a cold day right now. Yeah. I'm man enough to admit my mistakes, Vic. And this was a mistake because, as you recall, you called me out for it. You said, hey, number 1 versus number 3 isn't on your top matches. And I was like, no, because Sunderland, to me, don't feel like a team that's a real number 3. And just for some reason, I couldn't do it because we were having a repeat of a European final. So, okay, it's not like I was completely out of the blue to not choose this one. I just didn't think that they were the real deal. Maybe the fixture list was just kind to them the first quarter of the season, and that may be true. But what is also true, and what I found out, is that Sunderland are a team that are legit, and they get the opening goal at the Stadium of Light and go into the half up 1-0. But when Saka leveled it 10 minutes after the restart, it felt inevitable that the second goal for Arsenal would come, and it did in the 74th minute thanks to a Trossard rocket into the back of the net. And that's just how things have been going for Arsenal this season. They've been the better side, and they've been the better team with the better quality, and yada, yada, yada. They find a way to gut out these gritty wins, except that didn't happen, Vic. We just talked about it. That did not happen. Sunderland never gave in. They never admitted defeat, and they kept pushing for the equalizer even into the final seconds and minutes of stoppage time. And it came in the 94th minute thanks to a Brian Bobby goal. And as Peter Drury said in the final moments, as Bobby scored the equalizer and the Stadium of Light was erupting and going ballistic, this place has a heart. And it was amazing. It was amazing. That was such a fun match.
Yeah, if you guys have not watched, or if you haven't watched the highlights to it, what a great game. And I can't imagine being in that stadium. Right. As a lot of people called out, like in the comments and everything. Was it Peter Drury, right? The commentator?
Yeah.
They were like, he should be the commentator for every Premier League game. Just make it happen. I don't care how it happens. He's so amazing. He had so much to maybe that's why I'm feeling like it was a great game. He had so much to the atmosphere, and just watching the game, it was so great. And yeah, if you have not even seen the highlights, go look at the highlights. It was a great game.
Absolutely. It's like, it's the team that everybody wants their team to be, like a team that's just gutting it out, playing for the team, playing for the badge, playing for the fans. And then also the fans are what everybody else wants to see. Like, obviously we're here in the States, so we don't get to go to games as much as we would like or at all. But it's like that when you watch a team, like I watch Spurs, it sounds like a funeral. Like, it's quiet at times and you can hear people like randomly yelling, you know what I mean? Just like that weird sound, but not at the Stadium of Light, not at Sunderland. It's like crazy. From the first point, from the first kick on, it is just crazy loud noise, chants. I mean, it is what a European night, a European football match should feel like. And yeah, man, I like definitely on the bucket list. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, for sure. But those are your top matches and the headlines for Premier League Match Day 11. Let's go ahead and get into the rest of the match day. And match day started on Saturday with Snooze's game to watch as Tottenham and Manchester United draw 2-2.
Had to pull it up. Well, if you woke up for that match that I told you to, I apologize. I'm sorry. It was a pretty boring snooze fest for about 84 minutes of the match until Tell and Richarlison scored to give Spurs the lead and the lead heading into stoppage time. And in the 96th minute, De Ligt heads the ball home and splits the points. It was the highest of highs and the lowest of lows for Spurs fans. It was also pointed out that anytime Richarlison hits a stoppage time goal and takes the lead and takes his shirt off, the other team levels it. I think it's happened like 3 times. It's an actual record. So yeah, Spurs don't end up winning those matches, and it's just, yeah, it's not a good time. Vic, go ahead and say it. I know you hate it.
No, well, yeah, I hate Richarlison, but I didn't even know that happened until I just saw like a picture of him with his shirt off and somebody just captioned, "He did it again." And I was like, "Did what again?" I was like, started looking at it, and yeah, it's happened like 3 or 4 times I think where he celebrates
It
and then
was
end up leveling.
not cool, man. Not cool.
Uh,
Anyway.
but let's go ahead and move on to the rest of the match day. We move on to Everton getting a tough win at home 2-0 against Fulham.
Everton stopped their winless run with this win at home, and it sends Fulham down to 15th with 4 losses in the last 5. Fulham, a team that nobody had on their bingo card being in the relegation scrap this season, they are fully and rightfully in that scrap going into the break.
And Saturday continued with West Ham getting much needed points with a 3-2 win at home against Burnley.
West Ham have back-to-back wins for the first time since February. And even though they beat Burnley, it's still Burnley that are keeping West Ham down in the drop zone on goal differential. But it's good signs for the Hammers as they start to build up some momentum, build up some wins. And yeah, I mean, this is not a team that we're expecting to be relegated. So good on you. Good on you, mate.
And our next matchup was the 2-2 draw between Sunderland and Arsenal. So we'll move on as Saturday ended with Chelsea staying in the Premier League title conversation as they beat the lowly Wolverhampton Wanderers 3-0.
Everything went according to plan for Wolves in the first half as it was 0-0. But after the restart, the floodgates opened, and 3 second-half goals later, Chelsea had the W. Garnacho was really the one that turned heads in this match. He's been on fire lately. He was very, very good in this game. I think he had 2 assists, but just in general, he would just look like the best player on the pitch. Just a good move for him, and he's doing his thing over there at Chelsea.
And then we move on to Sunday, and it was a full slate, and it started with straight-up cardio as Crystal Palace and Brighton fight to a 0-0 draw.
And, you know, this is one that we're not going to talk about here. I talked a lot about other 0-0 draws already, and honestly, decent match. Team should have scored. They didn't. 0-0.
Okay, we'll move on to the next match, which was a beatdown as Bournemouth continued to slide, losing to Aston Villa 4-0.
Villa hand Bournemouth their second loss in a row and have now shot themselves up to top 6 with how congested the table is at the moment. The thing is, I don't think Bournemouth played particularly bad here. It's just the goals were going Villa's way and Bournemouth couldn't. So, didn't get those. So, yeah, Villa 4-0. It seems crazy that a team like Bournemouth, who had been so good for so long, would lose like this. But like I was saying, it wasn't all bad. Check out the highlights or rewatch the match if you want. But yeah, Bournemouth, I think they'll be fine.
And then Sunday continued with Brentford. I think some of the British came out.
Brentford, yeah,
right. Handling business and getting the 3-1 win against Newcastle.
And the same cannot be said about Newcastle as what I was talking about with Bournemouth. Things just keep getting worse for Newcastle away from the Champions League. They've now lost 3 of their last 5 in the Prem and are only 2 points clear of West Ham in the bottom 3. Not the way they predicted their season would be going. And if things weren't going so well in the Champions League, as I mentioned earlier, I'm sure we'd be hearing more moans and groans about this team, but it's just not a good form for them to be in the Prem. But maybe the break gets more people healthy, get some more, I don't know, whatever you want to call it. But either way, Newcastle needs to find a way to cope with the fixture congestion because it's only going to get worse.
And next we had the relegation threatened Nottingham Forest getting a much-needed 3 points against the newly promoted Leeds.
That's right. And it was a big statement game for Forest, who needed something they could hang their hat on and say that there's progress going on at the club. You can't really start peaking at the table too hard yet because of how congested it is. And we just don't have a big enough sample size to say that these things will be for sure at the end of the season, because 3 points goes a very long way right now. But with that win, Forest have 9 points, and 3 more points takes them to 14th. Right where Newcastle is. So they're doing something right. They're going in the right direction. So far as bad as it's been for West Ham and Forest, they're nearly outside of the drop zone, both making progress. And it's just what we can expect this early into the season. But again, things are looking up for Forest and West Ham, 2 teams that we don't expect to be there. Wolves, on the other hand, we do expect to be there big. It's probably not going to change.
Yeah. And our match day 11 ended with the 3-0 depression-inducing Manchester City win against Liverpool. So those are your match day 11 matches. Was a pretty bad weekend for me, but not a bad weekend for every home team, as no away team got the W this past weekend. That's why Liverpool didn't win, because it was just
it's just
the only reason was. Yeah, but
yeah,
we want to go ahead and get into some more depression and bring up the table Number 1, you will still see Arsenal as they have 26 points. They are 4 points clear of Manchester City now, which is that gap is closing. It was 6. Manchester City on number 2 spot with 22 points. In the number 3 spot is now Chelsea with 20 points, getting the W this past weekend. They were able to leapfrog Sunderland, who are now in the number 4 spot still, in the Champions League spot with 19 points. And then you will see Snooze's Tottenham Hotspurs tickling our top 4 in the number 5 spot in the Europa League spot. And then, we'll just go with the next 4, as you have also tied with them at 18 points, Aston Villa, Manchester United, Liverpool, and AFC Bournemouth.
That's so crazy.
Which is crazy, all at 18. And then just like behind them with 17 points, Crystal Palace, 2 people with 16, Brighton Hove Albion, and Brentford. It's, that right there in the middle is, what is that? 4 points, 5 points separate 3 from 13. Yeah, so
that's what I'm talking about. It's so much parity, and we said La Liga and also here in the Prem, but man, it's you one loss and it's like the world's crumbling, but really you're like, I mean, you win the next match and you're right back up. So
well, speaking of world crumbling, let's take a look at the bottom of the table, as West Ham United would be the first team relegated if the season ended today. They're in the number 18 spot with 10 points. Not too bad, actually, because that's only 10 points away from number 3, which is technically not that bad. You know what I mean? But Nottingham Forest are 1 point behind them in the 19th spot. The only team that it's really nobody's talking about is Wolverhampton Wanderers. 2 measly points this year out of 11 games. Just not good. They're negative
0 wins in 11 matches. 0 wins.
They're doing like 3-for-1 tickets. They got to be doing 3-for-1 tickets or something like that for Wolverhampton.
I read, I heard in the podcast though that they are the last team in the 7 or whatever 8 tiers of English football that have yet to win a match in this season. Like that is insane for a Premier League club. And they just hired a new manager, so hopefully he helps out and they can get a win here. But man, they have a lot of work to do. The only thing though is that they're 7 points. From Forest. Not terrible if he ends up being pretty good, but that's a lot to bank on. Yeah, it's just
a lot to it's a big mountain to climb. We'll see if they can do it though.
Yeah,
but that's it. Yeah.
Interesting stuff this weekend in all the leagues, and of course it's always more interesting whenever we got some little teams taking points off of the top teams. And a lot of that going on this weekend. Vic, anything else we need to cover in the Prem before we close out?
All good in the Prem.
All right. DJ, hit our music. And my boy High Man Vic, take us home.
Everyone, thank you for taking time out of your day and spending maybe an evening with us as we talk about some European football. Be sure to like and subscribe to all of our social medias. Everything is at No Business Soccer Podcast, except for TikTok, except for Twitter. Those are No Biz Soc Pod because those names were way too damn long. We have an international break coming up for you this next weekend, so you will not see a look ahead, but we might have something else cooking up for you guys. We will let you know very soon. Yes, and sir. Everybody enjoy the international break, and we will talk to you very soon.
Peace.